How's it going, everyone? Austin Honaker here. Today is December 16th, 2021. And no, I'm not on here to talk about, to do an All Elite Wrestling re- review or cover a song. I'm on here to talk about some shit. Well, as you know, 9 years ago today, on December 16th, 2012, my uncle, Michael Honaker, who is my dad's brother, passed away he was 61 years old and passed away from a heart attack. As you know, my Uncle Michael was like a brother to me. You know, he was funny as hell, and he was a really good man. And you know, he he like, there's some memories I have of my Uncle Michael, and they were funny memories. There was one time when my Uncle Michael, whenever I was visiting with him, you know, I was talking to him about a trip down to Florida, and I told him that I ate a lot of chicken down there. And he said, you go down to Florida to get seafood. You don't go down there to get chicken. If you want chicken, go down to Kentucky and go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Because if you go to Florida, you get seafood, not chicken. And he just kept going on and everything. And then there was one time when I done a little pussy burp out on his farm, and he looked at me and he said, "You call that a burp?" He said, "I'll show you a burp." And then he burped really loud, and he said, "No, that was a man's burp." And there was one time when I let a pussy fart one time, and he looked at me. He said, "You call that a fart?" He said, "I'll show you a fart." So he farted really loud. It was a big one too, and he said, "Now that was a man's fart." And he had me cracking up a lot. I tell you, my uncle, he, my Uncle Michael, one time when I was out at his farm, he, we were building a fire, and I put an empty plastic water bottle that was empty. I put it out in the fire. Well, the son of a bitch popped back up and hit me in the face. And my Uncle Michael, he started laughing, and he said, my Uncle Michael started laughing, and he said, I told you not to throw it in there, dumbass." And it was funnier than shit. And there was also one time when my Uncle Michael, when me and my dad took my brother over to my Uncle Michael and his son Brandon, which is my cousin Brandon, their house, because my brother was going with my cousin Brandon on a fishing trip with my cousin Brandon. My brother was going with my cousin Brandon and his friends. And my dad was worried about my brother, and my Uncle Michael, he told my dad, he said, "Oh, quit your worrying." And my dad was aggravating him. He said, "What'd you say?" And my Uncle Michael, he said, "I said quit your worrying. Now, did you hear me now, dumbass?" Oh, I about cracked up laughing there. And there was one time when, me, my dad, my deceased grandfather, James Honaker, but everybody called him Ernie, him and them and me, my dad, my grandpa, my deceased grandfather and my brother went out to my deceased uncle's and his son's farm, just visiting everything. Well, my Uncle Michael, he farted. We all got away a little bit. And then my grandpa Ernie, just a couple seconds later, my grandpa Ernie farted. So we all had to get away because it was really bad, both of them farting at the same time because they were both sitting on the porch and all that out at the farm. And my Uncle Michael farted, and then my Uncle Michael farted, and my my Grandpa Ernie farted. And it was bad. We all had to get away, and my Uncle Michael and my Grandpa Ernie were both sitting there laughing their asses off. And there was one time when we were out on his farm, me and my uncle, we ate something that gave us really bad gas. So we thought, well, we'll just have a farting contest. So next thing you know, me and him were farting up the storm, and we were competing competing each other farting. Like I farted, he farted, and we were just letting off farts. It was pretty fucking funny. We were just sitting there laughing our asses off. There was one time I went to visit with him at his house, and he, I was just visiting and everything, and because my Uncle Michael, he smoked like a freight train, and he drank a lot of beer. Well, he got a cigarette. He was getting ready to smoke a cigarette, and I said, Michael, can I get a cigarette? He said, you fucking smoke? He said, you been fucking smoking? I said, yep. And he said, he just handed me a cigarette and handed me a lighter. And I lit the cigarette up, started smoking, and then just a little bit after that, he got up to go get him a beer. I said, hey, Michael, can I get a beer? He said, are you fucking drinking too? And I said, yep. And he let me have a beer. So I drank a beer. I smoked a cigarette and I drank a beer with him. And he said, now don't tell your dad and don't tell your mama and papa, because you do, my ass will never hear the end of it. And I said, Michael, my lips are sealed. And, we were just having a good time and everything. And then fucking, one time I called him to talk to him, and my cousin answered the phone, and I said, hey, Brandon, is your dad there? He said, yeah, buddy, he said, yeah, hold on a minute. He said, yeah, hold on a minute, buddy. And so my cousin, he said, Dad, Austin wants to talk to you. And my uncle, he said, me. And he said, hand me the phone. My cousin handed my uncle the phone, and my uncle, he got the phone. He said, me. He said, what the fuck you want? I said, hey, Michael. I said, I just was calling to check up on you and everything. And he said, I said, because I've been worried about you and everything. He said, what the fuck you worrying about me for? And I said, I just am. I said, because you don't really come around or anything anymore. I said, why is that? Because we're all wondering about it. He said, son, I'm a loner, and I like to be by myself. He said, I like my solitude. And also, my face is swollen up really bad, and I don't want your mama and papa to see me like that, because if mom and dad were to see me like that, it would worry them, and I don't want to do that. He said, I love the family, but I like my solitude for one, and plus, my health isn't too good. My health isn't really that good. He said, I like my solitude, and my health is in decline. And I said, well, Michael, I understand that completely. And he asked me, he said, what you been doing? I said, he said, what the fuck you been doing? I said, I'm just hanging out with my girlfriend. And he said, is she with you right now? I said, yeah. He said, can I talk? He said, you mind if I talk to her? I said, I don't mind at all. I said, but let me ask her. And then it was Max Corey Conway. And I said, babe, I said, my uncle's on the phone with me right now, and he's wanting to talk to you because he wants to meet you. Would you be okay with that? And she said, yeah, sure. So I said, just 1 second, Michael. And so I handed Max the phone, and my Uncle Michael, as soon as Max had the phone, my Uncle Michael, he said, how are you? She said, Max Corey said, I'm doing good. How are you? He said, I'm doing okay, I guess. And then my Uncle Michael was aggravating Max's girlfriend Corey Conway. He said, what the hell you been doing running around with that ugly thing? And Max Corey, she got a little pissed because, she thought he was being serious. She said, he's not ugly, he's adorable. And my Uncle Michael, he said, adorable my ass. He said, adorable my ass. He's uglier than a damn mud fence. And as soon as my uncle asked Max's girlfriend that, I said, Michael! And he was just sitting there laughing his ass off. And, whenever he said what he said about me, when he said, adorable my ass, he's uglier than a damn mud fence, Max was getting pissed. And I said, babe, don't get pissed. I said, that's just the way he is. I said, he likes to joke around. I said, he does that to me all the time. And then Michael, my Uncle Michael, he said, honey, I'm just messing with you. And he said, Austin's all right. He said, that's just the way I am. I like to pick on him. He said, I like to pick in general. And she understood, Max did, and she said, she said, well, it was nice to meet you, sir. And he says, nice to meet you too, hon. He said, it was nice to meet you too, honey. And she said, would you like to talk to Austin? And he said, yeah, sure. He said, yeah, I guess. And she said, well, here he is. And so me and my uncle went to talking again and everything. And, I told him I loved him, and he said, I love you too. And we just got to talking and everything. And everything seemed okay, but, his health wasn't good. And, there was another time, this is another memory that popped up about my Uncle Michael. It was during Thanksgiving dinner. Easter, I'm sorry. It was me, my grandma, my grandpa, my dad. No, hold on. There's me, my grandma, my grandpa, my uncle, my dad, my brother, my cousin Chad, which is my Aunt Kathy's son, and my cousin Brandon, which is my Uncle Michael's son. It was just all of us. Well, we all ate dinner, and we were all getting some cheesecake for dessert. Well, my cousin Chad was getting some cheesecake for dessert, and my uncle, he started biting his tongue. My uncle did. He smacked my cousin Chad in the hand, and was telling him, he said, you ain't getting the whole fucking thing. And just started smacking his hand and all that. And my cousin Chad was sitting there laughing his ass off, and so was everybody else. And oh God, like my Uncle Michael, he was really fun. He was a really funny man. He was. He was a really good man too. Now, my Uncle Michael, there was a few things that I didn't agree with about his lifestyle. He was homophobic, meaning he didn't like gays. And he was racist, meaning he didn't like black people. And oh my fucking God, like every time I was around him, he would fucking talk about politics. That's all he would fucking talk about. And I'm like, I said, Michael, I don't give a shit about politics. And, but I didn't really say much to him because that was what he liked. And I thought, well, if that's what he likes, that's what he likes. So I just was like, okay, let him talk about it. And when speaking of politics, he didn't like President Ronald Reagan. Like, he would talk shit about Ronald Reagan a lot. And he told me that, he said, whoever likes Ronald Reagan, their ass ought to be shot and hung. He said, because I can't stand that motherfucker. He said, I couldn't stand that motherfucker. And he said, if I was right near his grave right now, I'd piss on it. And I was just like, Michael. And, he's like, what? He's like, that's how bad I hated that man. And, my uncle used to be a Democrat until Barack Obama got president. And Barack Obama, he didn't like Barack Obama because Barack Obama was black. So that's why he turned Republican, because of Barack Obama, my uncle did. And there was one time, speaking of black people, he didn't like Barack Obama. My uncle sat there and bitched about Barack Obama not attending the 100th anniversary of Boy Scouts. And, well, my uncle started bitching because Barack Obama went on The View with Whoopi Goldberg instead of going to the 100th anniversary of Boy Scouts. And my uncle didn't like Whoopi Goldberg either, because Whoopi Goldberg was, he didn't like Whoopi Goldberg because she was black and everything, and my uncle referred her as Whoopi Gold Bitch. And, my uncle, like I said, he didn't like gays, he didn't like blacks, any of that, But, and I didn't agree with the way he was about it. But I still loved him. And he told me that if he knows that any movie stars or TV show actors or what the fuck ever or musicians or whatever were homosexual, he wasn't going to listen to their music anymore, and he wasn't going to watch their movies anymore. Which I thought that was stupid shit right there of him to say, but that was his prerogative. And I still loved him. And, and there's also another memory I forgot of my Uncle Michael. And I was visiting with him. It wasn't too many months after he died. Before he died. And I was just down visiting him and everything. And, and we got to talking and everything. And he said, and he asked me, he said, son, you got a girlfriend? I said, no. I said, no, why? And he said, well, I was just wondering because you've had so many of them, I lost count. And he said, you at least talking to one? I said, yep. And he said, you got a picture of her? I said, yep. He said, let me see it. And I showed him a picture of the girl I was talking to at the time, and my Uncle Michael, his eyes got really big. He said, God damn. And he said, he looked at me, he said to me, he said, now that girl is beautiful. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you and her were to go together, I don't know what she'd see in your ass, because you're ugly. Oh, shit. Like, he was fucking crazy. He was. Like, I just busted out laughing when he fucking said that. And, like, anytime my Uncle Michael entered a room, he could light it up. Because he always had you laughing and everything. Now, like I said, I didn't like that he talked about politics all the time, and I didn't like that he was homophobic and racist. But just because of those things, that does not mean I hated him. because I loved that man with everything in me, and I always will, no matter what. And I'm going to tell you before I wrap this up, I'm going to tell you, the day I found out that my Uncle Michael passed away, I remember it to a T. Because, you know, the day he passed away, December 16th, 2012, he was 61, he died of a heart attack. And he, you know, my dad texted me and because I was in my room, my dad texted me and he told me, he said, son, come in my room. I need to tell you something. So I went in there and I went in the room and I said, what do you need to tell me? He said, son, I hate to say this, but Michael died. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. Because I was getting ready to go up to my grandparents that day. But I went ahead and went. And as soon as I got there, because, my grandpa was the one that called my dad and told him about it. And my dad, he didn't want me to go up there because of that, but my stepmom was like, Ronnie, let him go ahead and go up there because, your mom and dad, they're struggling the way it is, losing Michael. And they might need, I think they may need his company. Because my dad was getting ready to cry and all that, and, I told my stepmom, I said, Regina, get in there, please. And Regina went in there to console my stepmom, because that's what I told her. I said, Regina, get on it, go in there, please. I can't handle this. Because where I'm an empath and I feel shit, I couldn't handle it. So my stepmom went in the room with my dad, and my stepmom was consoling my dad, comforting him and everything because of my uncle's passing. And I went up to my grandparents' house to visit with them because of my uncle's passing. And my grandpa, he didn't cry or anything, but I could tell he was really upset. But my grandma, she bawled her eyes out. And I can understand that, because when I got alone, I bawled my eyes out. And I remember attending his funeral. It was at Wallace Funeral Home in Barbersville, West Virginia. It was 4 days after he passed away. And they had him cremated. And, everyone, it's just hard to believe that my Uncle Michael has been gone for 9 years. It really is. Before, I will say this. Uncle Michael, I know you've been gone 9 years. But just know, throughout the time you've been gone, it's not gotten easier. You were like a brother to me, Uncle Michael. You were. You really were like a fucking brother to me. We had good times together. And you don't realize, you don't know how much I love you and miss you. Every single fucking day, Uncle Michael. I do. Michael, I love you. I miss you. And just know, one of these days, we're going to reunite. And it'll all be, and it'll be great to finally reunite again. I love you, Uncle Michael, and I miss you so, so, so very, very much. And always will. But I hope wherever you're at, I hope you're having a good time. I hope you and Papa Ernie are fishing and cracking jokes and or hunting, fishing, and cracking jokes and everything. I'm sure you all are enjoying each other's company. But like I said, Uncle Michael, I love you, I miss you, and always will. Thank you for everything. You're truly loved, you're truly missed, and you always will be. And just know, Uncle Michael, I love you and miss you forever and always. So, like I said, Uncle Michael, I only had you in my life for 17, almost 18 years, but they were great 17 to 18 years. Like I said, Uncle Michael, I love you, I miss you, and I always will.